Here is the breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Israel has been striking in Gaza even as ceasefire and hostage release negotiations continues. Israel also struck in the West Bank's Jenin region, destroying several high-rise buildings, and Hamas recently released some hostages and Israel freed some Palestinian prisoners as part of a swap deal. Welcome to SATV's International Affairs, broadcasting from SATV's Dhaka studio. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I will be your host, and at the studio we have a very distinguished, knowledgeable personality, Ali Ahmed, former member NBR, and we have from Italy, Carlo Ferretti. He is a very senior person. He has huge experience on Bangladesh politics because he has lived almost 20 years in Bangladesh. And from Miami, Florida, we have our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pant who will be joining. And from Washington, we have Norman Flood Barnes, SATV's international affairs commentator and geopolitical correspondent based in Washington, D.C. Let me begin with Norman, as he is living in a cold city, Washington. But we know political weather in Washington is not cold as like the natural weather. Norman, what demands do both Israel and Hamas bring to the negotiations table, and how might those demands be reconciled or not?
Greetings from Washington, everyone. Today is Monday. We start a whole new week. We have Trump's ceasefire deal is being reviewed by both parties, Israel and Hamas, and it appears to be some issues that is of concern that need to be addressed. Basically, Israel is concerned about the overall security, and they want to disarm Hamas, completely get rid of the weapons. On the other side, Hamas wants to retain weapons, and they want some type of the blockage, the blockades relieved, and they want to negotiate the rights of Palestine. Both parties are very different regarding this, and they're very steadfast, similar to what we're doing with our Congress right now. We have the issues with the Republicans, and the Democrats had the issues about health care and how we want to move with the budget. Similar issues going on over there in the Middle East. The issues about disarmament and how they want to proceed forward. So hopefully we can come to some conclusions in a meeting this week. Hopefully in Egypt, they can come to some terms and we can move on with the future.
All right, Norman, production, please do let me know when Carlo Ferretti from Italy will join and when Shamsul Alam Pant will join us. Please let me know. Let me come back to the studio, as here I have a very favorite person, Ali Ahmed, former member Customs National Board of Revenue. I was sharing with you that I need to ask you one question. What is that? What role should external actors like United States, Egypt, Turkey, Qatar or United Nations play in mediating or influencing outcomes of this negotiation between Israel and Hamas?
Well, thank you. If you use the word should, or they should play a role that can reconcile the two parties and that can bring an end to the conflict and the war and everything. But should and actually doing are two different things. For doing, you need to have separate equal set of minds. Some differences, the people mediating between them, between the parties, can, through their power of persuasion, can bring them together or very close to together. But here, although we would all like to hope that the war ends, this genocide ends, and the Israelis at least get some semblance of a state or something to start with. But it seems that the Israeli party, headed by the present Prime Minister and his cabinet, they are, it seems, very unwilling to do so, although they agree, they say that they would do what Hamas has, what President Trump is saying, Very interestingly, they talk to yes, he is doing, but they are going on with their bombardment and annihilation of the Israelis and all those. So, in the scenario that we have now on the ground, I don't think they are going to achieve mass very soon, but they should do what is that they should try to reconcile the two parties, as you have said, and for that they have a mental makeup like that. You cannot bomb my house and ask me to shake your hands. That is absolutely not acceptable, and that is what is happening. I do not know. I am becoming gradually very frustrated and pessimistic about the outcomes.
All right, sir. Ali Ahmed is becoming very frustrated on this process, bombing in Palestinians or Gaza and offering negotiations to do a shake hand. I can see our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto has joined from Miami, Florida. Sir, welcome. Hope you are enjoying the weather in Florida. My first question would be, what are the latest breaking news do you have at your table? And along with, I want to do a question, what long-term impacts might the conflict have on Palestinian governance, regional stability, and Israeli security as well, sir?
Well, thank you for having me on the show. Of course, welcoming all my panelists in the studio and across Zoom throughout, and of course, my viewers in Bangladesh. Let me just say, as you were questioning me regarding Hamas and the governance of Palestinians after what the situation currently looks like, let me give our viewers a brief discussion, a 20-point plan which Hamas has accepted to, but with certain changes, certain elemental changes. There has been a discussion and breaking news all over the globe regarding the refugees, or regarding those who were taken in by Hamas, the Israeli hostages. Actually, they are going to be released. In what capacity and what form is in the coming days, we will understand it. But what one of those 20 points included was a technocratic leadership towards the Palestinian people. And of course, Israeli attention actually is really focused towards the global Sumud flotilla. We now know that online we see the mishandling and the mismanagement of guests from outside of Israel, especially of those like activist Greta Thunberg, who now other activists are saying that she was mishandled in Jewish custody. And of course, these are stories that are coming in worldwide. And as activists are, some of them have been let go, some of them are still onto the front lines of the borders of Gaza, still are on the ships and still are continuously reporting us to the international media on what is happening. But across from this, we see at United States of America, the country is reeling through a shutdown, and every day that goes by, common Americans are at threat of their livelihoods, especially with this removal of the Obama time care packages that the citizens of America actually benefited from. So the main cause over here is that they are not going to allow full medical expenses for illegal aliens, or that means outsiders or those who are not Americans. So this is an issue, and that is already, even the Democrats have said that that is already written into law, and that is just an issue that Republicans are choosing now to fret with.
All right, Shamsul Panto, I have huge thanks for you for joining from Miami, Florida. I want to do a fact check with Norman Flatbarnes. Norman, why President Donald Trump is asking or pressuring Hamas to do the negotiation sign very fast? Because you have to give time to Hamas leaders. Hamas leaders has reached in Egypt, Cairo. They need to talk each other. They need to talk with their leaders. Why President Trump is pushing to go it for so fast? Mr. Norman, I need to know about this.
Yes, my response to that is the Trump administration is working at an accelerated rate because they can't trust what Israel is doing. The Prime Minister and his administration in Israel, they are still on that campaign of invasion, destroying. I believe another 70 people was killed yesterday. and they are bombarding and they're still moving forward with their plan of total conquest. And the issue is that it's very dangerous for people to communicate when you're shooting and firing missiles and rockets. They are in constant, Israel is in constant offensive mode because they do not trust Hamas and they do not trust the process. So we are very looking at a very serious situation where basically anything can happen during this period of time, meaning one incident can cause this whole ceasefire plan to be disrupted. So the administration of over here in the United States, Trump and the administration want to get this going because the longer we wait, the longer they carry this on, there's a likelihood for a serious violent incident that will destroy the whole process.
Let's talk about the administration. The administration is trying to control the entire world, world's most powerful administration, world's most rich administration, world's most rich nation, powerful nation according to economically and militarily. Let's talk about shutdown. I'm sure Norman has guessed the word I'm going to use, United States. Federal government shutdown from October 1, 2025. Much of the US federal government shut down after Congress failed to pass funding. Now, the Republicans are running behind the Democrats to come forward for negotiations. My first question would be to, of course, to Norman to get the latest situation. What essential services remain operating during a government shutdown and which are paused for servicing?
The issue actually was a recent poll just came out, believe it this morning. The majority of Americans disapprove of how the Republicans and the Trump administration is handling this shutdown. People do not believe that we are taking appropriate action or they're taking this situation serious. We're looking at 39% of they believe that Trump and his administration is doing the wrong thing, and another 30% believed the Democrats are not helping it, and another 31% saying that both of them are causing the problem. So Congress and itself and the administration is causing problems for the American people. So it's not a situation where we see any type of potential compromise. We're looking at longer days, and we're looking at a long period of time until this matter is properly addressed.
All right, let me talk with Shamsulam Panthu, Satv's international affairs commentator, currently traveling Miami, Florida after covering United Nations General Assembly from New York and some events in Washington, D.C. My question to Shamsulam Panthu would be, what are the human costs for federal employees, contractors, and citizens relying on government services? And we heard that hundreds of thousands of federal employees are going to be fired.
Well, thank you for the question. It definitely is so very important. I mean, the only things that were open, even when I was in Washington, D.C., I saw how the monuments and everything else lacked people, and only some local residences had come to visit the Capitol building. And of course, in during this last 3 4 days of federal government shutdown, we understand that there has been mudslinging between both of the sides of the political parties, whether it be AI made videos and taking to Truth Social, trying to demarcate Hakeem Jeffries and relevant other people. So these are, of course, political stunt, political posturing. Of course, right now, as per your question, a lot of jobs are at risk. I took a flight from Washington, D.C. to Miami, and I could see how the TSA agents who were dealing with security at the airports, how they were feeling demotivated. It could be very well seen in their behaviors as well. So this definitely is an important time for America, as they understand, as the administration here understands the importance to how restarting the federal government is so much more important. But in meals while this is going on, we see how there has been immigration ICE protests going on in two significant locations. One is in Oregon and another is in Chicago. So these are the places where intense protests are going on, even after federal courts have said that there should not be any kind of ICE movement inside these relevant territories. So right now we can see, even after intervention of a court, these protests are not coming to a silence. So of course the tension remain high as far as local politics here in the United States of America.
All right, Shamsul Pant, I
Yeah.
really
May I
appreciate that.
add?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to add add to what my colleague is saying. Basically, the only essential services, ironically, that's operate right now is national defense, emergency service, and law enforcement. So, ironically, these are being deployed right now in Portland, and Chicago. We are aggressively. So there's a lot of money to do enforcement, but there's not a lot of money to feed and give the federal employees their money and health care. So we are more focused on immigration and enforcement than social services.
I really appreciate the journalism standard of two of my very beloved colleagues, Norman from Washington, D.C. and Shamsul Pantho from Miami, Florida. Sir, it is my journalism technique to listen the outsiders. People are on the spot, people are on the different situation, then come back to the studio. I have done it, sir. My question would be, how might a prolonged shutdown impact economic indicators, especially markets, employment, consumer confidence, and how do you see world's most powerful economy is facing administrative shutdown only due to one man's aggressive behavior with the opposition political party?
As you know, why this shutdown has taken place or is taking place now. Shutdown, you might be knowing the story. There was no shutdown before 1980s. There was no shutdown. It started only in 90s of the last century. It was by an act of 1884. An act was passed in the US legislature, but it was hardly used. It is that whenever there is any problem, the shortage of funds and funds are bill is not passed in time, then there can be shutdown because there was vacuum in money, and that is what it started. In fact, so far there has been 23 shutdowns, but till now only 10 has been very effective. It started with Bill Clinton and all those, Obama and all this. This present shutdown, ironically, is for the Democrats to ask for money for the Affordable Care Act, which is otherwise known as Obamacare, the hygiene, the health care of the poorer sections of society, and they are not agreeing to it. And the Democrats have taken it as a great point that we want money for the poor, you are wasting it in so many places. So they have also taken a very hard stand. I don't know how far it will go. The last, in the history of this 23, there was 23-day long was the longest during Obama's first, during president's first term. So I don't know how long this will go, but he is threatening, like the other presidents, not like this. Presidents normally call the legislators, both in this case they would be talking to Democrats in the Senate, in the House of Representatives or all that, but instead he threatens that I will make these people go home and forever, they will not come back again. This is not a presidential temperament after all, so I don't know what is going to happen. The demand is very, very legitimate, poor's health care, and the government is not agreeing to that.
Sir, let me take on Shamsul Pantho from Miami, Florida. I have prepared a different questions for you. That is, how have past shutdowns, as Ali Ahmed is saying, influenced future budget practices or institutional reforms according to the Constitution of United States of America? Shamsul Pantho from Miami, Florida.
Well, thank you for this question. And as we know, that in the history, it wasn't before the Reagan administration that these shutdowns happened. But ever since then, there has been quite so many shutdowns. There was one that was almost of 16 days during under Obama in 2013. But the latest one, right before the one that we're doing now, is was held in 2018 and 2019 of 35 days, which was back then the longest in US history. Whether or not we will see a longer time this time around. And of course, it was back then in 2019, it was dispute over funding for the USA Mexico border wall. And of course, economic loss estimated back then was over 11 billion. Let me just remind you that the national debt remains somewhere in the leading figures of $3.5 trillion. So at this point, whether it will be another historic more than 35 days is a matter to be seen here. But just as regional tensions escalate, I just want to point out to our viewers that the US and Venezuela are sharing hostilities between one another, as they are major media outlets have shown us that the US has obliterated another one of these trafficking boats. And in turn, the Russian Federation is vowing all its support towards Venezuela, as both of them are major oil exporting nations. So this is another dynamic that I picked out over here in regional tensions.
All right, very good indication, a very smart indication, and of course, I should say it's a very good assumption that in which way U.S. President Donald Trump is putting his concentration in coming weeks. I'm not going to the first commercial break without asking a question to Norman, because he understands the US politics better than all of us. Norman, what is the political calculus for both parties, Democrats and Republicans, in holding firm and conceding during a shutdown? Because American peoples are divided. Some people are saying that responsibilities has to be taken over by the Republicans. On the other side, some people are saying Democrats, especially Hakeem Jeffrey and Jack Schumer, both have the responsibilities. What is the calculus?
The 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 issue, my observations is that the people, the majority of the people, are not happy with Congress. And the reason for this is that we have lawmakers who have put themselves into a bind, a hole, a corner that they do not want to back down just because they will appear weak. Very simple. They are ashamed. And they don't want to back down or make any concessions because they appear weak. The Democrats, they don't have the authority. They're the minority, and the Republicans are the majority. So one wants to be superior, and the other one don't want to appear to be weak. So we are looking at people with mindsets that are antiquated. One of my colleagues said basically we are ran by a government of old men that need to go away. That is what's happening right now. We have people who have personal issues, and the needs of the people are not being addressed because they have their personal egos.
Norman, I was hearing Hakeem Jeffrey, House Congress leader. He says the American medias are misleading the American people. American president is misleading. American Republicans are misleading. That's a big debate we will do tomorrow. But I have to go for a short commercial break. I apologize for that. But I'm giving you a hint that when I will be return in the studio, we'll be talking about Russia-Ukraine war and related tensions, because Russia has reportedly launched large nighttime strikes in Ukraine, causing civilian casualties. We are receiving details from different media in our newsroom. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for a short commercial break.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিংয়ের জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিংয়ের জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Here is two development regarding Russia-Ukraine war and related tensions. Russia continues missile and drone attacks on Ukraine. Neighboring countries like Poland have responded by deploying air defenses. This is the first response from NATO member Poland, which is a neighboring country of Russia. Europe is stepping up its defenses and concerns grow about escalation. First, let me go to Ali Ahmed. Sir, what you observe, Russia-Ukraine, a prolonged war between two European countries, but Ukraine is backed up by the NATO members, directly by the United States and its allies, where Russia is aggressive to continue its fight on Ukraine because Ukraine has only one fault, its ambition to be a NATO member.
Yes, but the thing is, there is also imperialistic ambition in Putin. They cannot forget the Soviet era and cannot forget the past the Russian Empire, the war motor policy, historical things. So he would try to expand. But then the entire force of the NATO, I am rather a little pessimistic if Russia would dare to face the entire force of NATO. If they dare, they would be foolhardy. But the problem is NATO has been talking, has been gearing up their own defense budgets, and America, which is a leading member, the leading member of NATO it was, and they are giving armaments to Zelensky, President Zelensky, after the other NATO members pay for it. So that was very transactional, as he is the type. But the latest promise that he has made might be from his side under the Lend-Lease agreement, as it was during the Second World War for European countries, especially for Britain, by the then United States. If that happens, but when there is war, it is an ongoing war and it is only escalating. So it has to go on, and Russia has so far not agreed to any kind of reconciliation or cessation. Their target, it seems, is to occupy the whole of Ukraine, and the Ukrainians have got the taste of independence, and they were always an independent country before getting mixed up with the Soviet Union.
Right,
so
sir.
it is going to be very prolonged.
Yes, sir, very prolonged, but Russia have so many history of losing wars. I'll give you some hints. First, let me get Norman from Washington DC. Norman, what strategic objectives might Russia pursue, especially President Vladimir Putin, with intensified strikes, because negotiation talks are on the table. Negotiations efforts are in different regions, but he is continuing his strikes at daytime, at night time.
Yes, I want to make three very important keys to the Russians' objective. First, Russia appears or may appear, their aim is to weaken Ukraine's morale, the overall morale, by constantly pounding, bombing, other issues regarding putting the pressure on Ukraine. They want to wear down the will of the people and the government. In addition, we have winter coming up, and they will attempt to disrupt the supply chains, services, supplies, goods, services. They want to disrupt that while the United States is supporting and the NATO is supporting with weapons that can probably strike into deep heart of Russia. The issue is to break the morale, kill the spirit, and supply and cut down the supply and to disrupt your infrastructure.
All right,
Next
Norman.
thing is the provocation. They want to provoke the Maven countries through drones and whatever to basically to incite them to make a response and do things they may not want to do. So that will shift a balance.
All right, Norman, I see, before I go to Shamsulam Pantho, I want to give some hints to all my very respected, distinguished panelists that Russia did not have a single war-winning record in the history. I see, first Russia lost its war in 1856 with Crimea. Then Russia lost war with Japan in 1905. Russia lost World War I. Russia lost war with Afghanistan in 1989. Russia lost first Chechen war in 1996. Russia lost Ukrainian war because Russia started war against Ukraine in 2014 by occupying Crimea, is still fighting. And the reason of Russian war losing history is underestimating oppositions and internal problem. And one very vital thing I want to share with all my panelists, that whenever Russia lost the war, the Russian administration has got change. I mean, new government has come. Shamsulam Pantho, I want to get you, and my question would be, how is Ukrainian adapting its defensive strategies and civil protection under attack, because Vladimir Putin is unstoppable?
Well, I can relate with your last three or four words. Vladimir Putin is unstoppable. And I would agree with that. He has waged a war against Ukraine for the better half of 3.5 years. He had rallied almost every world leader alongside Xi Jinping in China's military parade. And this posturing that these leaders are having, North Korea, China, and Russia, it is threatening the administration here in Washington, D.C., of course, Donald Trump's administration, who I'm referring to. But according to Reuters and other international news agencies, Vladimir Putin says Tomahawk supply to Ukraine would destroy U.S. relations with Russia. So once again, these are quite the astounding results of almost a month and a half away from August 15, the historic meeting in Anchorage between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. But once again, one of the things that I can definitely record and understand is that the war is not ending. But the leader in Russia and the Kremlin should understand that they have claimed almost 35% of Eastern Europe, and by now they should look at a demilitarized zone and understand how they can end the war and go back to protecting definitely the civil administration in Russia. Let me just give you the figure here. Over 1 million soldiers of the Russian army have been lost in the last 3.5 years as action towards the fighting, as a consequence of the fighting that has been going on. But there are developments, and I really hope that Special Envoy Steve Witkoff can put some light in the upcoming days. Of course, he is Trump's favorite person when it comes to stopping quellings between various countries across the globe.
All right, Shamsulam Pantho, I know you have time limitations, but I have requested the production team to connect you. If you lose the connection with us, let me come back to Ali Ahmed. Sir, it's a big question for you. It's a very different question for you because you see, Vladimir Putin is a less talking person, but last week he has met with the think tanks of Russia. He has given his plan how he can make Russia, I don't say great again, but he says we need a time. This is the time we need to establish and stand on the art as a superpower, and he has been advised by the think tanks how to fight, how to win, and how to tie with the economic partners. Sir, my question would be, can China put a big role in these footprints?
Well, certain things that China has said and done has to be taken note of. There was a news clipping, news item small. China said about a month or so before that we cannot see our partner Russia losing the war. So that is a very great indication. China is a great power now in actually. That is one thing, and Putin's fraternizing China so very much, and also taking the North Korean leader there. So it seems there is an alliance between the two, but China, it seems, will not go actually in the field to fight. They are giving ammunitions and all these materials for war. So with the material supplied and North Korea also supplying human resources, this might go on for some time. But China probably at the beginning, China really discouraged and sort of rebuked Putin for occupying these places. But now that he is locked in very severe battle with the Western countries, China has clearly said that we cannot see our partner losing the war. So that is a very dangerous saying from China. So that is why, and Putin being what he is, with his ambition only God knows if there is any, he doesn't think there is any, and him. Nobody else knows what he wants. But the surmise we can make is that he wants the old Soviet Union again, at least. So and that is what he has been doing. I don't know where it ends. Even there is no discussion for ending. Although in case of Israel, there is a pretension of discussion. I don't call it a reconciliation meeting, what they are doing. But they do not even go for the pretension. He has hoodwinked Donald Trump very badly. So I don't know how it ends really.
Sir, you see, so many people will be surprised to hear that Russia has a border with North Korea. Really, it has.
It has.
So many people will be surprised to hear that Russia has a border with China. But we see North Korea is an underdog of this war because North Korea declared openly that we are fighting for Russians, but China did not. North Korea deployed its soldiers and armaments for Russia, but not China. Do you think China is trying to get the economic benefit from this war?
They will try to, of course. Every nation does that. Even the fighting nations also do it. Economic benefit, that is the strength of a country. But China, as he said, it is on record that Xi Jinping said, we cannot like to see our partner losing the war to the Westerners. So that is a very serious saying. I only wish he does not materialize it with actual armaments and everything. I suspect that they are now sending war material like armaments and machines and everything, although no Chinese has come yet. North Koreans are, but North Korea compared to these great powers is a small thing, although they have the nuclear power by now.
Sir, in a short answer, I just want to get your impression. Do you think North Korea is a proxy by China?
That is not needed because that is not needed. China can clandestinely still send their weapons and ammunitions and everything from country to country, though it is a huge vast desert and there is no human beings almost. But the Chinese rail line connects Russia, and
Yes.
border trade has also been agreed to. So who watches? Only China and Russia, and they will be giving to the Russians. But it is again from there to the war front on the western end, the other end is very far, but then they can do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has time has come for another short commercial break, but still we have to many issues to discuss, especially mixed global inflation outlook amid tariffs and China in the history of 40 years first time facing economic slowdown. Why this is so important? It is important because China is the world's manufacturing hub. If China faces economic slowdown, the world will face the consequences. I apologize for a short commercial break.
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms. Sophisticated fine dining restaurant. Crystal clear swimming pool for ultimate relaxation. Modern gym and serene spa for well-being. Perfect venue for corporate events, weddings and parties. Seamless and secured. Elegant and eye-catching design. Indulge, relax, discover the first 5-star chain hotels in Bangladesh. Grand Palace Hotel Dhaka, 22 Kakrail, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Welcome to Grand Club at Mirpur 10 Dhaka. Elegant spa and wellness facility for ladies and gents. Play pool and snooker in international standard billiard zone.
I told you that when I'll be back, I'll talk about the China's economic slowdown. During the break, Ali Ahmed, very knowledgeable personality, especially on economics. His background is from economics. He has said that the world should not be slowed down. Growth is still there. I want to put a blank check to Ali Ahmed sir for explaining what is the slowdown and why world is worried about the China's economic slowdown, because Japan is also facing economic slowdown, Britain is facing that. What would be the consequences? And one more thing I want to add, I said that there is no history of Russia's war winning, but you said there are. We want to hear it eagerly, sir.
First of all, the economic side, and then we'll come to the war. I'll just touch it because it's not a history class, we cannot explain in details. About the economies. Now there is a worldwide slowdown. In Bangladesh also, our 5, 6, 7% growth has now come down to 2, 3%. So is Britain, so is India now. India had a robust growth, but now it's not there. So is England, so is France. All the major economies of the world are going down in the sense that they are not having negative growth, but the growth rate is slower. This happens sometimes in the world. This is called boom and bust. This is the depression period. And these wars are going to bring in depressions more. And the Great War can also start again uprising. When it ends, there will be more reconstruction, there will be more trade and everything. So it goes on like this. And it is a period of depression. During this depression, there is poverty, there is famine, there is distress of people all everywhere, more so especially in the poorer countries, even worse than us countries. Even in our country, the situation is not well. So that is the situation. It is unwelcome, but this is a reality not coming for the first time in the world. So this we have to tide over. That is not a problem. But then the attempt should be by the great powers of the world to make reconciliations among themselves and to stop war, because war is not good for anybody other than the manufacturers of armaments, most of whom are in
That's
America. Yeah. So that is why it should be tried, but till then we have to do for this. And governments can, of course, cannot pump money. A lot of people say if you pump money by printing money, there will be severe inflation, and inflation means price goes up, but you don't have any earning. So life would be more difficult for everybody, especially for the poor. So that is not the way to do it. But then government functions, as economist John James Keynes taught the Americans and then the rest of the world, that after the depression of 1929-30, he was taken finally, and then he advised that you start, like what we have, the food for works type of job, start construction, stop building, and that is how America came out of this depression. So it is also an advice to the government. In our country, we have also a political problem along with the economic problems. Ours might be a difficult problem. I only.
All right, sir. Can I add something with
Yes,
you?
please.
After the invasion in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, United States has fallen into a huge depression of financial situation, which is called economic crisis in 2007. And in 2008, Barack Obama came in power. He boosted all American big companies to come forward to business. Then gradually business has come back. I want to see Shamsulam Panto from Miami, Florida. Probably he has joined again, sir. I want to ask you one question, that the world is facing economic slowdown. So as I see the same thing in United States, you are traveling there. Can you tell us what about the economic perspectives world is watching after a huge number of wars like Israel, Gaza, Israel, Iran, India, Pakistan, and of course Russia, Ukraine, sir?
Well, thank you once again for opening the discussion with such a broad topic. I just want to say that the economic phases, the world sees an economic slowdown, and of course, not all economies are set to grow in the upcoming economic year, except for the ranks of China, who has obviously dominated the world stage in the last 5 to 10 years. But we are still reeling from the effects of that. In 2020, the novel coronavirus has affected most of the communities across the globe. And yes, as this year we see ongoing and, of course, if not paused, conflicts, India, Pakistan, Israel, Iran, and also Israel and other territorial countries, including the Arab nations. And not only so, we see Sudan and how the Sudanese paramilitary rounds have gone by. But as for economy is at stake, there is definitely coming towards a slowdown, especially the many more days that the American government remains shut. It is not going to reap any good benefits for not only Americans, but of course, the general population of the entire globe.
All right, sir. Ali Ahmed understands economy better than all of us, as he has the economic background. Economics was his subject, and he has served in National Board of Revenue as member customs. Sir, which regions or countries are most vulnerable to imported inflation or versus demand collapse?
Basically, countries depending more on imports are subject to this wave of inflation, because inflation cost boost, the price of things go up, and he has to import those things. The price would be higher. Whether the buyers can buy it or not is not the question. The importers bring it and sell it at a profit. So this is how inflation comes to the poorer countries, and also in a desperate bid by their government to save the economy, they print money or create more money in different ways, which also adds to the total money supply of the country, and goods and services are limited. So the price of those things go up. A simple economic history of theory of inflation. So inflation comes in the form of price rise, price hike, and the people suffer. And especially the people in the fixed income group and the below subsistence level people suffer all the more. So that is a simple, it is not a serious classroom. In this very simple terms, this is what inflation does to the people. It is not desirable. But then, if you want to have your investment in a country, investment always goes after profit. So your price level should be in a situation where there is a slight marginal inflation, so that people will invest, produce goods and sell it at a relatively higher price. So they earn profit and will invest more. If they see falling price over a sustained period, they will not invest. They will take the money or their investable funds to other countries where there is profit.
Sir, I received two back-to-back breaking news right this moment. AP says Russia reports downing 251 Ukrainian drones overnight. That means Ukraine is also retaliating the attacks by the Russia Defense Ministry says its air defense systems intercepted and destroyed 251, ladies and gentlemen, 251 fixed-wing Ukrainian unnamed aerial vehicles in a single night, sir. So huge confrontation is going on. On the other side, I have received another breaking news from French 24 right this moment. French Prime Minister resigns after short tenure. France's Prime Minister Lecornu has resigned just hours after unveiling his cabinet, ending a brief 26-day government amid political criticism. Norman, I requested my production team, especially the producer, can you please connect both of the gentlemen from America? And I want to ask you questions. What's going on in France? In 26 days, the Prime Minister resigned.
Terrible thing. Terrible thing. It appears that France is still deciding on what they want to do. The economy, we have winter coming up. We have decisions. They have to make decisions on how they want to operate in Europe, how they want to deal with Ukraine, NATO, United States, and all these things going on. So this is a very difficult time for anyone to come in as prime minister, because the job is very challenging, and the people of France wants change. They want change. They want to see things going on. They want a better quality of life. In the world situation right now, it's going to be very difficult. How they position themselves and what role they're going to play. That is a challenge.
Let's onboard Shamsulam Pantho, SCTV's international affairs commentator. You have heard the both breaking news from Russia, Ukraine, and France. Do you see any political instability in the European region where far-right movement is increasing very fast, Shamsulam Pantho?
Thank you, Mr. Rashad. Of course, the entire world is now moving toward a far-right level of political control over various regions. Of course, Sebastian Lecornu, who was the Prime Minister for France, he had resigns, and the main reason include the lack of parliamentary support, controversial cabinet appointments, and of course, budgetal fiscal pressures and opposition over deficits and cuts. So these are definitely reasons, and also political instability and repeated government turnover under Macron, who is the president of France. So once again, this rift inside European leaders, of course, the position remains quite so nominal in comparison to Macron's position. But if you look at the impending issue in Russia, we see that Russian President Vladimir Putin can definitely take a swing at France, given France's current position, as the breaking news has said that the Prime Minister has resigned.
All right, I have a huge thanks and appreciation for both of you gentlemen. Norman from Washington DC, Shamsulam Pantho from Miami, Florida. I have to come back to the studio because we are running out of time. Sir, my last issue and the ending issue is today is a day, 6 October, the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize schedule commences today with awards in the fields of peace, literature, physics, chemistry, medicine and economics expected in the coming days. So the world has look on Norway and Sweden. How do you see this regular phenomenon on awarding people, but world is not moving into peace, world is moving into attack and retaliation?
Well, Peace Prize has not always been given for peace. After devastating Vietnam, American Secretary of State got a part of the prize, the other one was given to the Vietnamese warrior, the president. So, how do you share between an attacker and the attack
Victim.
So, it has been given very often on political grounds. So, I do not name people very close at home. So, this is generally a prize given for some other considerations than peace itself. So, I do not comment on that. But literary prizes are normally given to literature buffs, and so, but again there are many mistakes. Leo Tolstoy, for example, was not given the prize.
Yes, sir.
But some others from Russia, I bought one of his books. Nobody knows him. I bought a small book and I read it in English translation, of course, and he was being very adversely criticized, but it's not his fault.
Right, sir.
It is the committee's fault.
Right,
so, I do not very much. The prizes on science and all those things are generally very good and appropriate, but
Yes,
also literature is generally appropriate.
I appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you always. I enjoyed today's show, and before I go, I want to just share with you a quote from Winston Churchill, the 3 times Prime Minister of Britain who has never been a politician. He says, time is the best healing, time is the chief judge, and time will say where the world is going, where the people are going, where the humanitarians are going, and time will be the past always. Time will never stay in one spot. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to see you tomorrow again. Best wishes from Satv.